I think the first thing you'd need to think about in terms of developing strategy in food and agribusiness generally is the fact that the food industry is probably one of the most regulated industries in the world. A lot of people don't realize that. Pharmaceuticals we recognize as being very highly regulated for obvious reasons, financial services for other reasons. But food is actually also one of the F industries in the sense that it's a highly regulated industry. And if you think about the number of people who are involved, you know, the matrix of stakeholders, to use an academic term, who are involved in the strategy or success of strategy process, there's actually a lot of people involved. So you've got the primary producer, the farmers, who are terrific farmers in Ireland. We have the processors, we have the retailers, and we have the consumer. But around that, we have a whole network of regulators, Food Safety Authority, the Department of Agriculture, Board BIA, Teagasc, Enterprise Ireland. It's a very, very heavily contested and very complicated kind of industry. I think a lot of firms, when they're trying to develop a strategy which will actually work in the marketplace, don't give enough thought to what the supply chain actually looks like and the implications that supply chain has for their strategy. And that's one of the things that we focus on very, very strongly. What does the supply chain look like in your sector? And what have you got to do to be successful in that supply chain over an extended period of time, whether it's playing a role in shaping the supply chain or playing a role as a smaller participant in the supply chain. You've got to take that whole network of the supply chain into account. I think the second thing that I would say is that the commitment that the food industry as an industry globally has to innovation is terribly low. So people go into technology or into financial services, to go back to those two examples, and they just assume that innovation is how things will happen. That we'll invent some new piece of information technology, software, some new app, some new website which will enable us to attract customers. We don't think like that in the food industry. What we think about is how can we produce more stuff, and then when we produce that stuff, how will we sell it? And I think that to adopt the attitude that some of these other industries have, to focus on innovation as an opportunity for growth, is a terrific way to do two things. One is to improve your margins, which of course everybody would like to do in the food industry where margins are so tight. And the second thing is to find sales growth. I think if we had innovation, we could do those two things. Not easily, because innovation is not easy, but we could certainly do those two things. I think the third challenge or issue for me in terms of strategy is which of the terrific opportunities that exist in the world today am I going to take advantage of? A CEO of a large Irish food company said in my company a couple of years ago that Ireland had sleepwalked through China. That when China was a great opportunity, we didn't realise it because we were too busy doing whatever we were doing here in the Celtic Tiger years. So the question you'd have to ask yourself is, where's the new China? And for me, absolutely the new China is Africa. We've read a great deal in the press about China investing and building infrastructure in China. We've heard about these rise of these African tigers and the emergence of a middle class. I think what our partner companies, and one of the messages we'd like to give our partner companies who participate in our educational programs here, is that Africa opportunity is not 20 or 30 years away. The Chinese appear to have built enough logistics in China today, in 2013, to enable food from Europe to be sold to the new middle class in Africa today. They have the money, we have the ability to get there, there are stable economies. What a terrific opportunity for us to participate in that. The second thing is, I think very often in terms of thinking about these opportunities, very often it's easy for a firm to jump from what the opportunity is today or what they're investing in today to go and look for something new. And I've read a whole series of terrific books recently by Chris Zook on Profit from the Core. And I've been very, very impressed by many ideas, but one core idea from that book, which is, it is where you are most successful today is most likely the place where your future success will come from. That we need to continue to exploit the growth opportunities that we have, that we currently exist in order to grow in the future. I think that's terribly important. There are still terrific opportunities that exist for us in Europe. There are still terrific opportunities that exist for us in Ireland. There are still terrific opportunities in the UK. We spend so little on food in the UK and Ireland. It's less than about, I think on average it's less than about 7 or 8% of people's income. People are willing to spend 500 or 600 euros on an iPhone 5, yet we can't get them to pay 10% extra on food. So it's a terrific opportunity for me in that space also. I think the third piece in terms of thinking about these opportunities or trying to identify where the great opportunities are is how do we leverage the fact that Ireland is a safe and sustainable place to produce food. We always underestimate our green reputation, but when people think about Ireland, what they think about is that greenness. And I don't think we do enough. I think Bord Bia is doing some terrific work in this area in terms of the Origin Green initiative. There is a great opportunity for Irish food companies of every size, big, Glanbia, Kerry, Keepack, and tiny, small chocolate companies, small confectionery companies, small bread companies, to leverage off that for international growth.